Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, I think we have to acknowledge, on behalf of this legislature and probably everybody in this room, uh, that our thoughts and prayers are with the people of the greater Boston area. They are experiencing 5 days after that tragedy, just yet another horror and terror in their lives as uh, the events unfold there. And I just want them to know that all of us here in Connecticut, our thoughts and prayers are with them. Ladies and gentlemen, a few weeks ago, a report was issued. It was entitled Connecticut at Risk. It was a report done in conjunction with the Comeback America Institute and the University of Connecticut's CCEA. The report in its summary said that the key to the state's fiscal and economic health lies in the government's ability to promote private sector business growth, and suggests that how we do that is to get our fiscal house in order, that we are a state at risk, that we have ranked at the bottom in all of the key areas that would suggest to the world that Connecticut is a place to come and work and live and grow jobs and retire in. That we in Connecticut, because of the way we have handled our finances, because of the way we have conducted ourselves, are at the bottom of that list, and we needed dramatic change. Today in the General Assembly, two committees report out, the Finance Committee and the Appropriations Committee, and combined they are putting out the budget of the state of Connecticut, or at least their latest recommendation thereof. And a budget is supposed to tell a story. It is supposed to communicate a message to the world as to what we are all about, what our priorities are, and tell the world that we are a place that you would want to come to live, to work, to play, to raise a family, to start a business, etc. The Constitution of our state requires that that budget be balanced and that we go through a process to arrive at that. I'd first like to address the process. We just heard, as many of you did, the chairs of the Appropriations Committee. And they sort of hinted to the fact that this was a bipartisan process. Let me assure you it was not. We know what bipartisan processes are. We experienced them in December when we were called in to help them with their help the state with its budget deficit plan. We worked together side by side at a table, sleeves rolled up when it came to the issues regarding mental health, school safety, and the gun bill. That process was not followed even closely with regard to this budget. Yes, there were subcommittees and meetings that obviously by membership had to include Republicans. But when those subcommittees' reports were done, Democrats got behind closed doors on their own, and also in conjunction with the Democratic governor's office, and put forth this document that is supposed to say to the world what Connecticut's all about. And the document paints a very bleak picture. It does not signal to the private sector that we are the place to be. And what it basically does is say we are going to continue the road we've been down, continue the road of borrowing to pay operating expenses, continue the road to increase taxation, almost guaranteeing increased taxation in the years to come. We cut services to our citizenry, the very reason that government is to exist, and we do so in order to grow the government class, to grow the government bureaucracy. That's what this budget represents. This budget represents a spending increase of almost 10% over a 2-year period. 10% over a 2-year period. We exceed our existing budget spending cap. We have a constitutional spending cap, and we exceed it by almost $500 million in each of the next 2 years. I heard my Democratic colleagues indicate that they are under the cap by this, that, and the other thing. It is a cap that they want to recreate and redefine. We guarantee the continuation of taxes on corporations. The corporate surcharge tax will be continued. And not one thing was done to address the fact that as of July 1, our gross receipts tax, that tax that we pay at the gas tank, will be increased by 16%. This budget does not curtail government, it grows government. It continues on with the brand new agencies as the Department of Aging, the Department of Housing, It now creates a Department of Early Childhood and a Department of Injury Prevention. We are growing government by leaps and bounds. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Senator McKinney.
Thank you, Larry. Let's just start with the spin that's coming from the Democrats and the governor. The budget deficit we face of almost $2.5 billion over the next 2 years is not the result of a slowing economy. It is not the result of decisions made in Washington, D.C. It's the result of one-party rule here in Connecticut. The budget that we have is the result of decisions made by Governor Malloy and priorities made by the Democrats in this legislature. That's why we have a 10% increase in spending. That's why they continue to borrow to cover operating expenses. That's why they continue to raid the transportation fund to cover operating. And they continue to make poor choices. Let me just highlight two. First, when the governor and the Democrats imposed the largest tax increase in our state's history upon us, we said that's going to hurt businesses and cost jobs in the state of Connecticut. The Democrats have undone the surcharge, as I understand it, for boats. Because what happened? We imposed a higher tax on boat sales in Connecticut, and Connecticut residents bought boats in other states. It hurt the boating industry. It cost us jobs. They've acknowledged their failure in that policy, yet hypocritically say that all the other tax increases don't have a similarly detrimental impact on our economy. And they are wrong. Second, and I think this is a result of the fact that, quite frankly, they've just been here too long. They protect the legislative commissions and take college scholarships and the opportunity to go to college away from young men and women, mostly from urban backgrounds, all economically depressed, many minorities. How in God's name can you say you are representing the people of the state of Connecticut and have your priorities intact when you take scholarships and the opportunity to go to college away from these young men and women? It is absolutely abominable that they would protect the government class and the legislative commissions at the expense of young men and women going to college. This budget will lead to deficits in the out years. There is no doubt about that. We will be back in September with a $400 to $600 to $800 million deficit because this budget isn't balanced. Their trick on changing the definition of the spending cap only incentivizes further underfunding of our pension plan. By taking overpayments and exempting them from the spending cap, they encourage underpayments in 1 year, making up the payment in the second year, calling it an overpayment, and you don't have to come in under the spending cap. This is a disappointing day. We've worked very hard with our colleagues, as Larry mentioned, during that deficit reduction package. A lot of representations were made in that room, none of which have been kept. A lot of promises were made to the people of the state of Connecticut regarding no more tax increases. Those promises have been broken. I don't know what the next couple of weeks will portend, but I did hear, I believe, Senator Harp say that the final budget will be a negotiation between the governor's budget and the Democrats' budget. To me, that seems like they're doing away with the idea of bipartisanship and the fact that we as Republicans represent over 1 million people in the state of Connecticut, and if that's true, that is disappointing.